Hello and welcome to the Trisbrina Wellness Show. Now, today we're diving into the topic of how thoughts can be toxic and how thoughts can cause illness in your body, they can cause pain in your body, but more importantly, what to do about it to turn things around if your thoughts have been hurting you.
Yeah.
So you and I are no strangers to pain in the body. I've had a lot of pain. We've had different disorders, like all people, because the brain-body connection is a real thing. So why don't we jump right in? What do you
All
got
right.
for us to start?
Well, what we're really talking about and where this sort of evolved from was, can thoughts make you sick? Because we've been talking about being sick and being well. Can thoughts make you sick and can thoughts make you well? Well, I think a lot of people immediately, depending on how much research they've done, would go, no way, I'm going to catch a cold. I'm not going to think a cold, right? But let's look a little deeper and let's talk about the fact that we have 65 to 70,000 thoughts a day.
It's a lot of thinking.
And they say that 70% of the thoughts we have are the same thoughts that we had yesterday.
Some say as much as 95%.
And that we get caught in these looping, repetitious patterns. Now, again, we can use this for or against us as far as sickness versus wellness. And if the thoughts that we're having are causing stress, we know scientifically that stress actually, I think it's called, degrades the DNA. It makes you weak.
It downgrades.
It makes you downgrades. It makes you more susceptible to illness. And when you're looping in that and you're thinking that same thought every day, then your immune system is getting weaker and weaker and weaker.
Yeah. In fact, what happens, and I'm sure you've experienced this, after a while you have a certain thought, it's followed by a feeling in the body, because the brain has this incredible capacity to release hormones, neuropeptides from the brain, and those peptides go down into the body and they attach on receptor sites of cells. And those hormones either make you happy or they make you sad or they make you angry. There's a whole cascade of experiences and feelings that humans have. So if it's true that you can have certain thoughts that can then become feelings in your body, and if it's true that your brain is listening to every feeling, then it's true that you could start creating a cycle, a feedback loop of thought, feeling, feeling, thought, thought, feeling, feeling, thought, which people would call habit, program, story. And it gets very difficult as we get older, the more we've been repeating certain thought, feeling patterns to get out of them. It's why so many people live the same day over and over again.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day.
Yep. My experience of that would be tied into anxiety. Years ago, I would think things and I had a lot of anxiety, and anxiety would come out in my body as shaking, almost feeling like an electric shock from the soles of my feet coming up, like I was just going to drop down, to just like extreme nervousness. And that was coming from my thought. But then as it happened more and more times, it started seeming like I would be in certain situations and the body would start having those like, oh, my voice is shaking. Oh, my hands are shaking. I'm nervous. And it almost seemed like my thoughts were then noticing what the body was doing, because the body was so used to me triggering those thoughts and then participating, that it was like subconscious mind said, oh, I got this. This is what we usually do.
Right.
So just because we have a thought, and this is kind of funny, doesn't mean it's true. We just have thoughts that we've had before. So let's talk about stress thoughts. And so it's a good thing as an animal. The book, or is it Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers?
That is a really great talk in a book.
So an animal is grazing, and here comes a predator, and they have, oh my gosh, I'm going to get eaten. I better run.
The zebra bolts.
And they run, and they probably poop.
Oh, yes, they
right?
do.
And they poop because that's the response, and it makes them lighter.
Your body says, not a good time for digestion. Let's evacuate and let's run.
And then once they run and they're away from the predator, what happens? La, la, la.
They reset.
Let's graze again.
They reset.
Right? And so that particular, it's an emergency, kick in the stress, freak out, or sometimes it's kick in numbness. We can talk about that in a minute, how sometimes it's like you just go numb when something is happening. And then they return to norm. But with humans, because of the way that our brains work, we start, when we experience that trauma, then we're out living our life, la, 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 and there is no predator. But all of a sudden, we start thinking about the time that there was, and we basically poop and run. Right?
I like what Geraldine says, evacuate in more than one way. That's very funny.
Right? So we repeat, and we talked about this, it was on our VIP call, that when you've experienced a trauma or something that has made an impact on the brain in particular that was stressful, it's normal to repeat it until you notice it, and you have to consciously stop that thought. You have to consciously kind of say, hey, wait a minute, I'm just grazing here. There's nothing coming to get me. I'm just recalling something that happened in the past. I'm completely safe. So it's like, know thyself. Know thyself is being present. What are those thoughts going on? What's happening? That's why we love Qigong so much, because Qigong lets you be in your body, moving your body in these ways that helps the energy flow, and you consciously direct your thoughts to what you do want. So that's why it's such an amazing tool. So the stress that happens is when something has happened that has really upset us, really scared us, really made us jealous, really made us aggressive, competitive, feeling like we were cheated on, all of those things that we don't want, we tend to repeat them, lack of self-worth. And every time we do, we're reliving it. And every time we do, we're putting ourselves in that state of emergency. I'm being attacked. I need to flee.
Alarm mode. Well, the body is designed initially to live in a balanced state. It's known as homeostasis. So everything Sabrina's saying is exactly right on, right? We all know.
Right.
Say it again. We all know that we have that little part of our brain called the amygdala. If we've studied anything about the fight and the flight, it is designed to protect us.
Yeah.
It's a survival mechanism. So much like the zebra who says, see ya, I'm out of here, flight. I'm going to run, because that strategy makes the most sense to that organism's brain. Now, the opposite of that is to fight. And it's when you see a mama bear or bird or animal going up against a predator. Like
the birds and the hawk.
Yeah. When the hawks come, all the birds attack at the hawk because they're protecting their babies.
Yeah.
So their brain says, well, the best strategy for the survival of my young, my chicklets, is for me to take a chance and attack you. So the brain is looking at fight and flight options, right? And we'll talk about why this is a problem more in a minute, but this is also a good thing. You want that mechanism there to keep you safe. Now, Sabrina talked about another one where you end up doing nothing. That's a state of inertia. That's more like the fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
And the brain chooses freeze when it doesn't see a strategy that will work. I don't think I can win the fight, and I don't think I can get away. And it just tries to go totally quiet, hoping that it won't be noticed.
It happens sometimes if you've been really injured or you've been in a car wreck, and then you kind of go into shock and you don't know what happened. Or for me, I had a situation with where a man in New York tried to take advantage of me in a singing lesson. And I didn't remember that for 10 years. So and then when I remembered it clearly, but it was
that
like...
That was bizarre when you remembered that. I remember and you're like, oh my God, I think that I was like, not physically assaulted,
I
but
once I
mentally.
remembered, I didn't know that I had forgotten.
This girl's been through some crazy stuff, I tell you. But what she's expressing is a state known as denial, which is another aspect of your defense mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
So we're having the conversation today about how thoughts affect the body and can make us sick. And so we're just trying to kind of bring to the front that there's a mechanism in the brain that's a good mechanism that's designed to protect you and keep you safe, protect the body, the command center. But when it stays in an active mode and it becomes chronic, it's then that the thought mechanism starts to attack the body.
Mm-hmm.
Because stress, which the body is under when it's running or fighting or trying to escape, stress is there and it's only designed to be there for a little while to mobilize you like it mobilizes the zebra running away. But the zebra has the capacity to reset itself back to homeostasis. Unfortunately, because of human psychology and energy disruptions that we'll discuss, we loop in it and we stay stuck in this threat response.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's low grade, sometimes it's peaking and we have a lot of anxiety, panic attacks. This out of alignment state starts to tear the body down. Why? Because the stress hormones that are dumping into the body, you said it, they're just diminishing the immune system. They start to cause inflammation. They're causing over and over and over these energy disruptions, which block the flow of qi.
High blood pressure.
And then there's all the symptoms that follow, right? Mm-hmm. Different diseases,
digestion,
high blood pressure, all kinds of stuff, right?
Can't
Irritable
sleep.
bowel syndrome, right? Migraine headaches.
You don't get enough sleep. Not getting enough sleep produces certain illnesses, but you can't sleep because you're stressed out. And then you're stressed out because you can't sleep. And you can't sleep because you're worried about being stressed out because you can't sleep.
That's the part that sucks about this. Because once you get into a loop, and do let us know if you know what looping is like, and I think most human beings do, looping is a real pain in the arse. Because something needs to be introduced that will break us out of that.
Yeah.
Now, someone said earlier, I think it was Joe, well, if we can think ourselves sick, then we certainly could think ourselves well.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely right on. And that's where the conversation wants to go.
Yeah. So a lot of the stress is from the past. We're looping the past. Totally. And then we're trying to shift into the future, but we have to create the future from the unknown. And it will seem like to some people, I've been told, you're pretending that's what's happening right now isn't happening. It's like, I'm not pretending. I'm in this situation that isn't the best that I want it to be, or I'm not feeling as high as I want to feel. So I'm gonna consciously shift my emotional state so that I can start creating something different. Because when I can create a different emotion, I can create a different thought. Or if I can grab a different thought, it creates a different emotion. Because when you're shifting from the known to the unknown, even if the known doesn't feel good, let's say with my fears or anxiety, any change is uncomfortable because it's new and it's scary. Put an animal that lives in a threatening situation, and pluck them out and put them in someplace safe. They're going to be scared simply because it's new. And they only knew how to...
The program is running.
Yeah. So an example of that could be something as simple as fear of the unknown. Let's say that somebody starts thinking, you know what, I'm going to get in shape. Let's say that it's one of my fitness students. I'm going to get in shape. I really want to lose those 25 pounds I gained during the pandemic, and I want to start moving my body again. Well, then what kind of thoughts do you think they're going to come up against from the past? Well, think about it. Maybe register tomorrow for that class. As simple as that. Just don't sign up till tomorrow. You know, you probably don't have time, even though it's at home and it's so convenient and you can watch the replays. You probably won't do it. I doubt you'll like the other people that are doing the program. It'll just start saying all this stuff because the worst fear is being in an unknown situation or being in something new and being in something that is not familiar. So, like, we've used the pimple as such I love the example of the pimple, how when a pore gets blocked, the body starts, it creates irritation and redness and swelling. And we have all the shame, like, oh, I got this big pimple on my face. But that's because the body's trying to push that toxin out. And that day that that little blackhead comes out is such a glorious day because the tension then goes away. And sometimes that's the way it is with the shift. The swelling and the pressure and the redness and the shame, and everybody can see this and all of that. You might have to go through some of that, but it's so beautiful not to be blocked and clogged with those limiting thoughts and those limiting beliefs and those fear cycles.
So true. To be able to shift when it's going on is tricky though, isn't it? Because it's hard to outthink a negative feeling. You have to really do what she's talking about. You have to be able to interrupt that pattern and take a new stance. Be willing to think a new thought. But everything in your head might be going against what you're feeling in your body, right? And so that's why we stay stuck in them. What I found every time, this is my experience, that I'm feeling some kind of negative feeling. It could be sadness, depression. I felt a lot of emotions in my life, like I'm sure you have.
Boredom even.
Boredom, oh my God, boredom, which leads to depression. I felt frustration and anger, you name it, across the gamut, the emotions come and go. Now, emotions are beautiful, right? Because they're letting us read our energy flow. And that is the insight. If emotion is an energy flow, if a feeling in my body has something to do with not only how I'm thinking, because I want to question where the thought came from. Why did I learn this thought from my mom and my dad? Did I hear it in a movie? Where did I get it?
Yeah.
My experience has been this. I may have heard something negative external, but something about hearing that or experiencing that caused a disruption in the way that my energy is flowing. And so when my energy is skewed, my emotions are skewed. So what I have noticed is when I'm experiencing something that doesn't feel good, it's better to not try to think myself out of a box. It's better to move myself out of the box. And that requires...
Move the box.
I've got to move the box. I've got to move the physical box.
Yeah.
Now, even if you're in a chair and you can't do a lot of physical movement, tapping your body, doing deep belly breathing, moving slowly, rhythmically, meditative type movements. Every single time I do something like Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, and then a sitting meditation, I can always reset my emotions because I'm fixing my energy flow. Now, this to me is the great hack because you can't sit there and just change your thoughts sometimes as hard as you try. It's like trying to put ducks in a row and then they run all over the place again. And then you psychologically try to fix it. And I'll tell you what, I'm a very, just like you over here, we're disciplined thinkers, right? Catch that thought. Sabrina says, reframe at the speed of God, right? Like catch it, pull it back in. But here's what I know about her and about me. We are movers. We are shakers. We're bouncers. We tap, bounce, squeeze, shake. We flow all the time. And so that is our secret weapon. And it's what we teach at Satori Method is let's get your energy moving so that we can clear up those negative thoughts so much faster. Now we start looping in high vibe. Yeah. Right? The thought shift, you start to feel good. Now you start creating a neural association. Movement is my friend. Movement makes me happy. That's where I get, doused with the happy hormones. And you can't stop because it's like the great elixir.
And it's little things. Like I'll just tell you today some things that have happened. So Tristan was outside and then he was at the pool. He came inside, he was showering. And I said, you feel better? And he goes, yeah, completely shifted state. because he was in the office all day long. So we went and he moved his body outside. He did some Qigong. He got in the pool.
Did.
And then we try to make sure that we're wearing complementary colors for you. And usually I choose and then make him match. But he came in with his shirt and he goes, hey, can I wear this?
I had to ask my mama.
And I said, why? And he goes, it just would be nice to have color.
I felt
Do you see how
this energy of this color.
Yeah.
You know what it was? It was outside. You and your mom had planted all these beautiful flowers.
Yeah.
And they're this color, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just taking in the beauty of nature and just feeling lit up by the visual experience. But that's another piece of the equation, right? Change your space.
Yep.
Go walk.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of the same room.
Yep.
Like I was literally in the same room for 9 days. And I'd go outside. Some of you saw some video, and I would do some Qigong, or it was so hot.
But for 5 days, you didn't leave that room.
No, I was in there doing my tapping and my thingy and my
I threw him a yoga mat. I threw him a foam roller.
Here you go, prisoner. And she'd throw the stuff in there. But I'll be honest, like psychologically, that's a little challenging, right? Like to be in the same place over and over and over. And like, okay, so I can visualize and I can meditate and I can Qigong, and it was fine. But I felt a little bit off from being in that space for so long. And so I had a little bit of mood that I've been processing. Like, what's going on with me? I don't really get it. And I don't need to get it. And that's what I wanted to tell you is sometimes you don't need to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like I've been like, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? What's going on? I got to figure out the trigger. That's exhausting sometimes. Go and move. Go and tap.
Because that would be the past. That would be the past.
Yes.
Right? It's like...
Four-wall-itis. Good, Tracy.
What?
Tracy says she used to call it the four-wall-itis.
Oh.
Like bursitis, the four-wall-itis.
So I've been doing something that I haven't even told you because you haven't been around. So the past 30 days have been very full of life experiences. In the last pretty much 30 days, it was Tristan's birthday, and we got a phone call at 3 a.m. on his birthday saying that his mother had passed away suddenly of COVID. And she was in Bali, so many of the choices that you would normally have in this situation, they didn't have. And here's a video of the cremation, and your stepfather is in critical care unit with COVID, and you're launching your year's biggest promo in 2-3 days. And Tristan, you got to be full on and deliver because the whole company and the whole families and everybody, all our contractors are counting on you to, show up and shine. And then what can I do to help? And then the last day that one of our offers was closing down, which is called an energy kit, the server crashed. And the last 12 or 13 hours, we had no website and couldn't figure out how to get one. And then we're back up and everything's, going great again. And then we get the call that we have one more day. And we had announced it's going to be this day. And then he had to go into isolation. We have to tell people he's been exposed to COVID and it's going to be another 7 days before we could do it.
Yay.
All of that has happened in 30 days. And thank goodness that about 30 days ago, and it's something that happened to me actually in the fall of 2020, which was I had this huge vision about faith and that my 99% faith wasn't enough. And a lot of my anxiety was in that 1%. Mm-hmm. And so I really decided that not as a cop-out, because that's my personality wouldn't use this as a cop-out. I'm more of a beat myself up, I'm an underachiever kind of personality. I decided that only good things happen to me, and I've been singing it every morning while I walk the dogs, and God loves me so much. I'm always at the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing from a place of love, and I'm listening to my intuition, and I'm listening to the voice of love like that child game. Warmer, cold, colder, colder, hot. I'm listening to my emotions. And so when things have come up, like oh, he's got to go in that room for 10 days. My response has been, I don't know why this is the best thing that could happen to me, but it is, because it is happening, and only good things happen to me, and I'm so loved. This morning, I thought that I accidentally turned my alarm off, and I woke up 35 minutes later than I should, and I saw myself go, oh no, I'm running late. And I said, oh, for some reason, I needed 35 extra minutes of sleep. And I'm just really trying to shift from all of these ideas of the way I think things should be. Now, does that mean tomorrow I'm not going to set 2 or 3 alarms? Yeah, I will. Because it also taught me that. You got a trigger finger on that snooze, Sabrina. You don't even know it and you're hitting off. But I'm not letting myself fret, because it doesn't matter. And it's in that 1%. And if I have 100% faith, then I really am living that and being that in every moment. Not just when the screwed up thing happens as a cop-out, but in every moment. How may I serve? How may I love? Because maybe it was so I would not go on the walk with the dogs at the same time. So I would meet somebody different. You just don't know how the miracles are coming. And so if you have 100% faith, the miracles come as they come. I don't know why all of these situations have happened in 30 days, and I don't need to know why, but what I can do is create the future by having the thought and the feeling that I am so loved and only blessings happen to me, and I know that everything that is coming is a wonderful result and manifestation of these exact situations that have each and every one been a gift that maybe I don't understand.
That's beautiful, sweetheart. Don't we just love Sabrina? She has the best insights. She's my guru.
Guru.
We really wanted to have this chat today, just a quick chat, just to remind you that moving, getting your energy flowing is such an incredible way to change what thoughts are doing in your body loop. So if you felt stuck in old thinking and you've been feeling like, yeah, I know I've got some toxic thoughts going on and I'm having a hard time releasing them, continue to engage your energy work. Continue to, don't try to outthink yourself. Move your box, move your system. Do the movements that are in this kata, this routine, and I'm going to give you the replay in just a second. There's everything you need in there to just get an incredible reset for your body. Get yourself out of that stress response. Put yourself back in a state of homeostasis and balance. Use everything as an opportunity to evolve. Even negative thoughts, because they're your teacher. They're letting you know something's out of alignment. Something is disrupted right now. Something is blocked. You don't always have to figure out exactly what it is. Sometimes that insight comes a little bit later. But I think we all know we have the tools. We know what to do. We just have to do it. And maybe the biggest mistake is sometimes trying to think your way out of the box. And that just is really, really hard to do. If you get an epiphany, if you get an insight and you're like, oh my gosh, I see why I'm doing that thing. Awesome. Take it and go. Run with it. But if you're really finding that you have had a pattern for a very long time, or just a chronic pattern, you haven't gotten out of it, that was what was happening in my body with my back pain. I was reproducing the same body thought over and over from my brain. And I had to change something. And it wasn't until the energy arts that I got out of that loop. So
even if
here's that link.
Even if the best feeling thought that you can get at the time is something like, oh, I'm so glad that there's something I can do right now to help shift my state. I'm so glad I can, if you're in the dojo, oh, I haven't watched last Tuesday's class, and go and do that. Oh, I haven't done the reclaim your power. It doesn't have to be this grand jump, right? I know it's a big jump when something's happening to be able to say, I'm just going to be grateful for this because I don't understand it, when it's something that feels so sad or so wrong or so scary. Find something like, oh, I'm so glad I'm noticing. I'm noticing that I'm scared right now. I'm more aware than I was. Oh, I'm feeling nervous and I'm aware of it. So I think I'm going to go for a walk. I think I'm going to go do Qigong. Like, just be aware of those subconscious thoughts, because when you're aware of them, they're like your little soldiers. They're like your little team. And if you ignore them, they're just going to do what you did before. And then you're recreating the past. But when you're aware of them, you can go, oh, team, no. There is no predator. We don't have to poop and run, right? We can stay and graze. Like, you're in charge of the team.
Here's that link for those of you who would like to own the entire 7 days, including the replay of day 7, which has been edited already, and it's in the Academy.
Yes? Wow.
Good to go.
Wow.
We're on the ball.
And many of you got it as a bonus because you joined the Life Force Mastery Dojo. It's been automatically added to your Academy. When you go to pick up a copy, and it'll say it on the page, but just so you hear it, you need to put in the coupon code Power 2021, which will work for another 24 hours to take 80% off.
And by the way, if you hadn't been through the Energy Detox and Reboot event and you didn't get our gift course called Qigong for Beginners, that's actually included in this package. So what did you already tell them? It's over 80% off? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big discount. So
it's a big
It's a big one. Okay. That's all she wrote.
Thanks for showing up live. Those of you on Facebook and those of you at YouTube, we appreciate you. If you are watching on YouTube, if you hit subscribe, it'll notify you when we go live for this show. If you're watching on Facebook, you need to like the page, the Satori Method business page, and then click the 3 dots and say see first, and they'll notify you. Or just get on our email list and we'll let you. This is a weekly show every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Central Time.
Weekly. That's right.
Weekly.
Gotta be consistent. Have a beautiful Thursday, Friday, whatever day you're watching this. Till next time.